It's time that WWE does this with Bayley. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. Because Bayley, well, 2024 has been her year. She is right up there with having some of the best run as a women's champion in recent memory, I think. She's a very underrated star. She always has been, probably always will be. All right, if you discuss her in the ranks of where does she land among the four horsewomen of WWE, most people would have her in last place. I think it would probably go Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Mercedes Moné, and then Bayley. But that is a tough company to be around. If you look at what Bayley has done this year, it's truly remarkable. She won the Women's Royal Rumble match, earning herself a championship opportunity at WrestleMania. She was able to finish along a storyline in which she created and essentially ended a faction known as Damage Control. She defeated Io Sky, the women's champion, at WrestleMania 40 in a key match, a fellow Damage Control faction member, and then went on a multi-month reign as women's champion, ultimately ending that reign in defeat when she put over Nia Jax at SummerSlam. Nia Jax, who had won Queen of the Ring at the King and the Queen of the Ring PLE to earn said championship opportunity. She had a heck of a run. She defended them multiple times. Television, premium live events, house shows, you name it. She did it all. And while she may not have had a barn burner of a reign, it was still a very solid reign, which also ties into Bayley the person, Bayley the character. That leads us to today's video. It's time that WWE does this with Bayley. As much positive as 2024 has brought her, well, the last few months, there's been a lot of loss. There's been a lot of defeat. There's been a lot of interesting booking for Bayley in WWE. Why do I say that? Well, if you look at it, Bayley, what has she done since putting over Nia Jax and losing the Women's Championship? She put her over again in a rematch. She did that. But other than that, Bayley has been on the sidelines, if you will, for the most part, in terms of being in the win column. I mean, heck, a few weeks ago, the internet lost their minds when she put over Candice LeRae in a tag team match. Candice LeRae, who had not done much. It's time that WWE finally turns her heel. And I say finally because it seems like it's been forever since Bayley was a true heel. I understand that she was a heel last year in 2023, but I think if you look at what they've done this year, it seems like this year has been a lifetime ago for Bayley. It's been a lifetime ago since she was a heel. And I think as much as she's good as a babyface, she's as good as a heel. Here's the reason why I think that she should be a heel. If you look at the dynamics of Friday Night SmackDown, unless you are putting her on Monday Night Raw as part of a draft, she's going to be on SmackDown. You are now competing on the babyface side with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, who at any given moment will now split up and go on to their separate secondary ways. If you go and you try to stay a babyface, you have to compete for that top spot against a Bianca Belair who has not been in that spot in quite some time. You have to compete in that spot with Jade Cargill, who has not been in that spot, but I believe will be in the near future. If you turn her heel, while yes, she has to contend with Nia Jax as a top heel, you don't have to go through Nia Jax. While yes, you have to compete with Tiffany Stratton for a top tier spot, you don't have to go through Tiffany Stratton, right? It's a lot easier to be above those two on the internal heel roster than it is to be a number one babyface and, oh, by the way, be the champion. Because the way they do this, we have a heel, then we'll have a baby, we'll have a heel, then we'll have a baby in terms of the women's champion. Because as much as I expect big things out of Tiffany Stratton one day, I don't see her being the next women's champion. I actually think Nia Jax is going to be women's champion for quite some time. So would you rather be the third babyface behind Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair on SmackDown, or would you rather be the second top heel on the roster, only behind Nia Jax and the Women's Championship, right? That's, if you're looking at it from a pecking order standpoint, that's the way I'm looking at it. That's the way I think you should look at it. If you see it from that standpoint, then yeah, it makes a little bit more sense as to why Bayley should go heel. Look, Bayley is always going to be this likable underdog figure. It doesn't matter whether or not she's portrayed as a babyface or a heel on television. That's just her personality. That's the way that fans look at her, the way that they see her. And that's a great thing for her. If you see how they've booked Bayley over the years, that's exactly how that was been, right? I mean, that's how she got over in the first place down at NXT over a decade ago, as this lovable underdog babyface that you want to see succeed so badly. And then she got on the main roster and she got pushed around there for a while. And yeah, she found some success, but nothing like she was in 2018 into 2019 when she finally turned heel, right? When she turned heel, it's like, oh, okay, this is a different dynamic, because as good as her character was as a babyface in NXT and on the main roster, I really feel like it was her main roster heel run that solidified her as, okay, this girl, she's dialed in, right? Because we always knew that she could work. She can work circles around a lot of different people out there. When it comes to charisma, she's got that charisma. That's for dang sure. But there was always something lacking, and I think it was the depth of the character, the depth of the persona that she could portray on television, the depth that they can tap into. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, the heel run is what helped her get over that hump. And now, as we saw this year, she had a lot more depth to her babyface character, something which has been put on display in a very fun way, in a very interesting way, I think. So, while yes, she had a fun babyface run, while yes, she had a lot of success as a babyface, I just think it's time that we finally, let's go back a little bit. Let's see where she can go from here, because as I pointed out, SmackDown, there's not a lot of ways to go. I would rather her go and just be drafted to Monday Night Raw, but she was over there. You got Damage Control over there. I guess you could switch brands. I don't know. I think right now Bayley fits better as a person of SmackDown. That's really where she's found most of her success. But at the same time, you know, Raw and SmackDown, Raw's going to go back to 3 hours on Netflix. There's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation about SmackDown going to 3 hours in 2025 as well. So, roster spots don't really matter in this case, but I'm very interested to see where they go.